Good evening. I'm John Batchelor. This is the John Batchelor Show. Malcolm Hoenlein, Conference of Presidents, Major American Jewish Organizations, joins me. There are many villains, and they're moving very quickly now, so we're going to go fast. We have time to watch the story in the Middle East. Of course, the breaking news in the United States to do with domestic surveillance and the suggestion that the NSA and the Obama administration have signed on to the accumulation of data over these last years through the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. I note that the administration is now saying, in an official release, that this Surveillance Act does not allow the targeting of any U.S. citizen or of any person located within the United States. We're about to spend the next several hours discussing matters that very much involve the security of the United States outside the United States. We're talking about people who are not American citizens. We're talking about the exchange of information with our ally Israel. So I will say to those who are comforted by the statement from the administration that this program of collecting all photos, Gmails, data streams, chat rooms, only with non-U.S. citizens, only with in correspondence or communication with people outside the United States, does not in any way satisfy my understanding of what Malcolm Hoenlein and I are about to discuss, which is critical to the success of the 21st century. Malcolm, a very good evening to you.
Good evening, John.
I begin with the Palestinians. John Kerry has been in and out of the Middle East these last weeks. I think this is his fifth trip. I might have lost count to
4
one.
months, 4 or 5
And
times.
he has made generous offers of negotiation and financing to the Palestinian Authority. He has been turned away bluntly, rudely, without real full explanation. And I see now in the Jerusalem Post, posted within these last minutes, Malcolm, that the Palestinians, through the voice of Saeb Erekat, we know him very well, he's a spokesperson for the PLO, that they are demanding the valley called Latrun. What does that mean, Malcolm?
Latrun was an old British fortress which you see on the road from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. It was where Mickey Marcus was killed, and the movie Cast a Giant Shadow was made there. It is today a site where there is a tank museum, and the mini Israel is located right near it for those who have visited and want to place it geographically. But historically, there is no way that this is...
That's up on the right as you're driving towards Jerusalem?
Exactly.
Where
that's right.
They want that?
Well, so that's that. But John, it really fits into the pattern.
Wow.
And when you said that he was rudely turned away, Netanyahu today again, the deputy foreign minister today again, all of them have said, we're ready for talks. Put aside all the nonsense. Let's sit down. Let's negotiate. And the PA, not only did they get rid of Fayyad, the one credible person who tried to have some transparency and put in what Fatah is calling one of our guys, the former president of the university and a professor of linguistics, but a Fatah operative who's certainly not going to challenge them on the transparency and the corruption, which is so rife. And so now Kerry comes there and they agree, no preconditions. What does Abbas say? I want 120 prisoners. These are murderers, people who, before Oslo, were responsible for attacks or attempted attacks, killing civilians on both sides. Then you have, he wants maps in advance of the permanent borders for a Palestinian state. So what's left to negotiate? And he wants a freeze on settlements. And so he puts all of these preconditions when everybody agreed no preconditions on this. He raises the demands, as you indicated, in regard to Latrun, but other things as well. He allows a demonstration of thousands of Islamists in Ramallah, and their forces were told to get out of the way. This is in commemoration of the fall of the caliphate and guys who call for the rebuilding the caliph, because he wants to use this as leverage with the West to say, well, you see what pressures I'm under. Meantime, no representation in Gaza, no chance of reconciliation by almost all the estimates in being made now. You see no movement on their part, and then they start coming up with suggestions again of international force, knowing that it has failed virtually everywhere where they have tried it.
We will come to the Palestinians, but we must touch on two other stories that are important to understand the moving map right now. We'll go to Iran before we come back to Syria, Malcolm. There is news from Iran that an earthquake has damaged the Bushehr nuclear reactor. What's the significance of this, given what we know to be the complete non-transparency of the suspect nuclear weapons program? Is this a blow to them, or is this a sidebar to their old way of seeking the plutonium bomb?
Well, it may be both. If you remember some time ago, I told you of a study that was done that showed that most of their nuclear plants were on a fault, on a fault line, and subject, therefore, to earthquakes, to other kind of damage. Now, when a reactor gets damaged in that way, as you know, this can be very serious. They believe now that the Bushehr reactor, which was built by Russia and is supplied by Russia, did suffer damage on, I think it was April 9th when they had that very bad earthquake. There were, I think it was April 9th and April 13th that they had two of them. And so the endangering these facilities, meaning that they could pollute the whole region if, like Chernobyl, were they to be be hit in the middle of an earthquake. So this is not something to be dismissed. Another thing that was interesting is that there were thousands, in fact, they say tens of thousands of people attending the funeral of Sheikh Taheri, who quit as the Friday morning prayer leader, which is a very important recognition for religious leaders in Iran, because of his opposition to the government and the tactics. He died, and the people marched yelling, "Death to the dictators."
The presidential selection within days, Velayati, Jalili, and the third, the son-in-law, was a major candidate the last time we spoke. Is there any new information about which way the Ouija board is going to direct the supreme leader?
Well, there seems to be more and more alienation from the process, the recognition that only Khamenei's guy is going to win. Khamenei seems to have put his money on Jalili, as we have talked about for some time. He was the negotiator with the IEA, Atomic Energy Agency. He's somebody who said we will continue to enrich uranium at any cost. He's purely a mouthpiece for Khamenei, no independence. And from what I hear inside, there's just a general level of, a growing level of frustration about it.
Syria, quickly. Qassar, the last 6 weeks have seen increasing information that the Alawites, that's the Damascus regime with their allies Hezbollah and the IRGC, have mounted a major and successful now military operation against Qassar. I see in Al Jazeera that there's a doctor appealing for help. The Free Syrian Army, such as it is, has been overrun. What's the significance of this to the Damascus regime? Has this secured their offensive against Homs and Homa, cutting off the resupply from Turkey? Is that what it's done?
Well, to me, it has two levels. One is the psychological level, where reversing what had been expected to be a victory for the rebels and early reported as a victory, with a lot of reinforcements being sent in on both sides. With this Syrian Republican Guard joining Hezbollah, who admit to having about 2,000 troops there, plus foreign troops coming to aid the rebels, all sides vested in this, and clearly it seems now that the rebels were routed. This is key. So on a psychological level, it's very important for Assad and his team to be able to claim this victory. On the the strategic side, it is a very key location on the way to the zone that they're trying to create, this area that they ethnically cleansed that could be the Alawite safe zone. It connects the Damascus to the coast. It's a very important city, but it is possible that we will see it shift back and forth more. But it has highlighted the Sunni-Shiite split, and we're seeing it being more and more emphasized now with the recruitment all over the region.
Any information about the so-called peace negotiation or peace conference that the president spoke of weeks ago?
Well, it's clear that this was the Russian initiative, with Kerry and Lavrov having talked about it, the foreign minister of Russia. Clearly, it was set back. The Russian delivery of MiG-29s now to Syria will be a major blow to it. Certainly, the reported sale, though non-delivery yet, of the S-300, but other missile systems. There's a lot of concern that the border with Israel, the Golan, is heating up. There's fighting in Quneitra tonight,
right,
in the Golan, and that it's becoming targeted more and more. And Assad has said now, if Israel has to hit again to prevent the transfer of chemical weapons, missiles to Hezbollah, whatever, that he will retaliate, and fear now that could escalate.
Malcolm Hoenlein, Conference of Presidents, Major American Jewish Organizations. We'll touch on Egypt later in the show. I'm John Batchelor.